My spoiled sister ruined a lot of my childhood, and my parents let her. More than let her, enabled and encouraged her. The cake read, "Happy Birthday, Andrew," but there was a second little cake that also had 5 candles. It was for my little sister Allison. I was 5. She was 2. My family sang "Happy Birthday," but when they sang the names, they rushed, "Andrew and Allison," even though it wasn't her birthday. I hated it, and all I could do was cry. Mom crouched down next to Allison and murmured, "Go ahead, honey, blow out your candles with your brother." Dad fiddled with the camera. "Stop crying, Andy. Smile. Let me get you both in the frame for this candles part." It wasn't her birthday. She wasn't 5. I was, and it felt unfair. I leaned forward, ready to make a wish, when Mom pulled Allison and me a bit closer together. "Together, you two. Blow them out together." Allison's cheeks puffed, spittle flying across her cake as her weak breath barely made a candle flicker. I blew mine out in one sharp gust. Everyone clapped and cheered, but the wish I'd made was for Allison to disappear. Later that night, I asked Mom why Allison needed her own little cake. "She'd feel left out," Mom said. "You don't want to make your sister cry, do you?" "But it's my birthday," I said. Dad looked up from his chair, his tone firm. "Don't be selfish, Andy. You're the older one. You should know better." Selfish became their weapon of choice for the rest of my life. Christmas should have been my favorite time of the year as a kid, but in my house, Christmas wasn't about joy, it was about dividing. I was 10 the year it really sank in. Aunt Marie arrived with her arms full of presents. "Merry Christmas, sweetie," she said, slipping a card into my hand when Mom wasn't looking. "Just a little something for you. Don't tell your sister, okay?" I ran upstairs to my room and tore open the envelope. A $20 bill was inside. At 10 years old, that felt like $1,000,000. That night, Mom tucked me in at bedtime, saying a final Merry Christmas and being quite nice to me until she spotted the card sticking out from under my pillow. "What's that?" she asked. "Nothing." She plucked it from my bed with quick fingers, opened it, and slid the money out. Her whole tone changed completely. "Andrew Michael, were you trying to hide this from me? You'll have to share this with Allison. It's only fair." "But it was for me," I protested. Dad had been drawn in from the hallway, no doubt by the tone of my mother's voice, and he now chimed in with, "Don't be selfish at Christmas." Mom pocketed the 20. "I'll split this for you tomorrow." I stared at her, at the card in her hand, at Dad's oblivious face. I was furious. "At least give me that card back," I said, snatching it from her angrily when she passed it back. Year after year, it happened again. Relatives slipped me cards. My parents intercepted them. "Split it with your sister." Only splitting never meant 50-50. Allison would get the cash and I'd get a lecture about generosity. One year, Grandma slipped me a 50. I hid it under my mattress, thinking I was clever. 2 days later, Mom found it while she was changing the sheets. "Andrew," she said, "why would you hide money from your sister? That's not what family does." "She steals from me," I protested. "She does not." "Half the time, I never even get my half," I argued. "Why does she get all the money, which is my entire present, and she gets all her own presents, too?" Mom said nothing. She just left without answering. By the time I was 16, I didn't get excited for Christmas. I just got angry in advance. That year, Uncle Frank gave me a $100 bill tucked inside a card. I didn't even have time to thank him before Mom swooped in. "Why don't you let Allison hold on to that for you?" she said, trying to pluck it from my fingers. "No," I said sharply. Mom froze, her eyes narrowing. Allison's face screwed up into a pout. "But that's not fair." Dad set down his coffee mug. "Andrew, hand it over. Don't ruin Christmas." "I'm not ruining it," I snapped. "You are." Mom's lips pressed thin. "You don't love your sister very much if you can't even share." "This is my present. She's got her own, and you never make her share hers with me. I'm not sharing with her anymore. Uncle Frank gave Allison a present. She's not having half of mine, too. I didn't back down. I shoved the bill into my pocket and stormed upstairs. In my room, I locked the door and sat on the floor, heart racing. For once, I'd kept something for myself. Prom was supposed to be a rite of passage. The tux, the limo, the pictures under the archways of balloons. I wanted to go, not really to dance, but not to feel left out of the biggest event of the school year. A month earlier, I'd told my parents at the dinner table about asking a girl to prom. I was excited and was making plans with friends about going tux shopping. That's when Allison slammed her fist on the table. "It's not fair," she said. "Why does he get to go and I don't?" She was only 14 and still a freshman, but it didn't matter to her. Mom comforted Allison but was looking at me. I knew that look. I knew what was coming. Dad cleared his throat. "Andy, maybe you could sit this one out. You don't want to rub it in your sister's face." "What? It's my prom." "Prom isn't everything," Mom said. "You've been to other dances this year. Think of your sister. You don't want to upset her, do you?" Allison sat there smugly, not even pretending to look upset anymore. I tried to argue. "Everyone else is going. I already bought tickets." Dad's eyes narrowed. "Don't be selfish. Your sister's feelings come before a dance. It's not a hard choice, is it, son?" That word, selfish, again. Dad was right. It wasn't a choice. I had no choice. So I returned the tux. I told the girl I'd asked that I couldn't go and made up some excuse about family obligations. And that's how I ended up missing prom. I sat in my room with the lights off and the door closed. Allison barged in without knocking. "Want to play Go Fish?" She flicked on the light. "No." I refused to play cards, so naturally she went and told on me. My parents insisted we play as a family. Dad said if I didn't join them, he'd take my phone away. So I sat at the table, but I didn't join in. My first job was at a fast food place off the highway. My feet ached, my arms burned, I stunk of grease, but that was the smell of freedom. 2 weeks later, I picked up my first paycheck. I held the envelope like it was a sacred artifact. To say I was proud was an understatement. $132.78. It wasn't much, but it felt like a fortune. This was my first step to saving for college. I sat on my bed and counted the bills after cashing it. Mom leaned against the doorway. "That looks like a good amount." "Yeah, my first paycheck." She stepped in. "You know, Allison's been wanting to go shopping with her friends. It would mean a lot if you shared some with her." "No way." Her smile faltered. "No?" "I worked for this. I'm saving for college." Her voice hardened. "Andy, your sister doesn't have a job yet. She's too young. She deserves nice things, too." "She's 14, I snapped. "If you want her to have nice things, then you buy them." Dad appeared behind her, arms crossed. "What's going on?" "Your son," Mom said, "doesn't want to share with his sister." Dad's eyes locked on me. "If you won't share, it means you don't love Allison. We raised you better than this." Which is when I lost my temper. It wasn't pretty, to say the least. Years of birthdays shared, events missed, Christmas money siphoned away, it all came boiling out. "You've treated me unfairly my whole life," I shouted. "Allison never had to share a damn thing with me, but you forced me to share everything. My birthdays, my Christmas presents, my prom, which I had to miss, my money, everything." Mom's eyes widened. Dad's face flushed, but I couldn't stop. "I've had half a life because you gave the other half to her. And I'm done. This is mine. You don't get to take it from me." "You're ungrateful," Mom half whispered. "After everything we've done for you." "All you've done is teach me that I'm a second-class citizen in my own family. That Allison gets half my life. She gets to take it away from me or else it's unfair to her. But no one cares that it's never fair to me. You say I don't love her. The truth is, you don't love me." For the first time in my life, I'd said it out loud. My parents left my doorway. without another word. It was true, and I was sick of protecting Allison's feelings when no one protected mine. That night, I slid the cash into an envelope and tucked it deep into my backpack. When I finally left for college, I did it alone. No help from Mom or Dad, just me. And once I left all contact with them behind as well. College came and went. I survived on loans, part-time jobs, second-hand books, and cheap meals, scraping by with the same stubborn determination that got me out of their house in the first place. I graduated, got an actual job, and continued to save. Still no contact with my parents and sister. I sometimes looked at their Facebook pages. I saw Allison at graduation, a year later than she should have graduated, but my parents beaming with pride anyway. I saw vacation photos of them in Bali and Mexico. By the time I was 27, I'd saved enough to do what I'd been dreaming about since I was a teenager. Buy my own house. Stop living in the cheapest, crappiest rentals I could find. The house was also cheap and a major fixer-upper. I drew up plans, budgeting every dollar carefully. I was working full-time and renovating at the weekends. A few weeks into renovations, my phone rang. It was Mom. "Andy," she said, "we heard through Cousin Sharon you bought a house. Are you settling in okay?" "Yes, fine." "We miss you. Allison asks about you all the time." "She doesn't need to know about me." "Well, maybe we could come visit and bring you a housewarming gift. It's a big milestone." I was hesitant. "Fine, but not right now. I've got renovations underway. The place is a mess. But I'll let you know when I'm ready, as long as Allison doesn't come. And don't ask me for anything either." She agreed, and I hung up feeling a mixture of relief and apprehension. For the first time in years, I was establishing boundaries. Once I'd finished renovations some months later, I decided to allow that visit with my parents. I wanted to see them, but only on my own terms. My parents arrived while I was cooking the dinner we planned to have together. I told them to go ahead and look around while I finished up. When it was time to sit down, I went upstairs to find Mom, and that's when I saw her taking photos. "What are you doing?" I asked. She jumped. I just wanted to show Allison what you've accomplished. She'd be so proud." "I told you, I don't want Allison knowing anything about my life or this house, none of it." "She's an adult now. She's changed," she said. I stepped closer. "Stop taking photos or you won't be welcome here." She looked at me, hesitated, then slipped the phone into her pocket and walked downstairs. I followed, trying to calm myself down. We sat down and started to eat. Halfway through dinner, the doorbell rang. Sure enough, it was Allison. She pushed her way inside without waiting for an invitation, smirking. "Wow, big brother, this place is amazing. I can't wait to move in, but we'll definitely need to redecorate some of these rooms." I stood rigid. "You're not moving into my house." Behind her, my parents appeared. "Andy," Dad began, trying that old mix of disappointment and command, "this could be a chance for you and Allison to become close again." "No, I want all of you out. Now. I am not sharing my home with her." Allison laughed, shrugging. "Relax, I'm just here to check it out." I stepped toward her, voice firm. "This is my house, and it's not for you. Leave." For a long moment, no one moved. My parents looked torn between guilt and authority. "Sharing is caring, Andy. Did you forget that since you've been away?" Allison asked smugly. "You are not moving in," I said again. Allison's smirk faltered slightly. "Andy, honey," Mom said softly. "She's your sister. Maybe can you compromise?" I cut her off. "No, I will not compromise anything else for her. Was every birthday, Christmas, and school event not enough?" That's when I had an idea. A few weeks later, Allison strutted through my house like she owned it. She had rearranged furniture and suggested moving the kitchen table to open up the space more. I sat at the table with coffee. "So the listing agent called today," I said casually. "I should have some viewings soon. If you want to move in here, you really should place an offer soon." Allison froze. "Wait, what?" "I mean, the house is going up for sale. If you want it so badly, you can buy it, but you better move quick." "You're joking." "I'm not," I said. "You didn't think I just gave you half my house, did you?" I laughed in her face, knowing that's exactly what she thought. "You can't do this. This is supposed to be my house now, too." "So you really thought this house was yours? For free?" I shook my head at her sense of entitlement. I ignored all the texts and calls that flooded in. Mom and Dad came by in person when they couldn't get me by phone. "Andrew, we don't understand. Why would you sell the house? This was supposed to bring you and Allison closer." Dad chimed in. "We raised you to care for your sister. You can't just—" I held up a hand, stopping him mid-sentence. "I saved for this house. I worked for this house. Unlike Allison, I didn't expect anyone to give me a handout. If she wants it, she can buy it. I am done handing over everything I own, and then still told I'm selfish." Mom said, "But she's your sister." "She's a grown woman who expects me to subsidize her life, just like you always forced me to subsidize it as a kid," I replied. The house sold quickly, and I purchased a second property, another fixer-upper, somewhat larger, and I poured my energy into renovations again, hoping to eventually sell it and continue upgrading with each house. Mom and Dad, despite years of claiming to understand me, couldn't process my stance. "Why are you letting her suffer like this?" Mom asked. "I'm not making her suffer, Mom. I'm just not giving away things that belong to me. You raised her to think love was getting things from people, and you raised me to believe love was sacrificing everything I own." "You've always been selfish," Dad said. "I wasn't selfish to want to keep the presents that were intended for me, but you never let me keep them anyway. You gave them to Allison, and I ended up with nothing." "We didn't mean to hurt you," Mom half wailed, half whined. "But that's exactly what you did. If you hadn't raised her to be selfish, this wouldn't be happening. She wouldn't feel entitled to my house. You did this, protecting one kid and not the other." My parents eventually left in silence. I realized that day, protecting your own inner peace is more important than protecting the peace with others when the people around you only care about themselves. Thanks for joining me for this story. If you enjoyed this reading, please hit like and subscribe so you don't miss future uploads. Leave us a comment and let us know what kind of story you'd like to hear next. This is Tales by Rachel, where we breathe life into every story.